Ayan na everyone. Welcome back dito sa latest episode ng Deep Dive. Today, let's do a proper deep dive explainer. Marami tayong pag-usapan sa isang banda. To be honest guys, behind the scenes kung sino-sino. We're talking to everyone who may know something, who could help in one way or another. Someone who has an insider knowledge, who's nandun sa inner sanctum ng pinaka mga the powers that be. Buyaka siya lahat ng ginagawa natin. I'm really hoping that guys hindi lalalang situation because I think in many ways what's happening right now is parang may standoff situation na tayo when it comes to former PNP chief but still four-star General Nicolas Torre III. No, so the thing is, guys, as we stand, General Torre is still a four-star general. And ibig sabihin yan, hindi pwede umakyat yung iba. Kaya ang situation natin, guys, ngayon is meron tayong interim PNP chief at it's still not very clear where are we gonna head from here. What's very clear to me is that General Torre is gonna fight back in a sense that sisiguraduhin niya that he's gonna be still at the very center of discussions. He's gonna make sure na yung kanya mga haters, yung mga ka-DDS natin ng mga kaibigan who are doing all sorts of schadenfreude nowadays, he's gonna make sure that those people will not have too much of their premature joy at hindi sila katulad na sinabi ng isang abogado na medyo third rate, hindi ikaro sa mangyari sa kanya. As I said, this could be still a Phoenix situation. General Torre has been through a lot throughout the years. He has had setbacks throughout the years, pero kahapon sinabi niya kailangan talaga niya ng time off dahil nga you could clearly see the disappointment in his eyes, you can see in his voice. But at the same time, General Torre is not giving up. He still asserted kahapon, he made it clear and clarified to everyone, I'm still a policeman, I'm still a police general and a four-star general at that. And guys, of course, kahapon din dumalo si General Torre dun sa birthday ni, shoutout naman dyan kay Ma'am Grace, of course mga followers na, but shoutout din guys kay of course the good senator, good congresswoman Leila De Lima. Tinext natin maaga kahapon, medyo puyat tayo, but I made sure early morning, first thing morning, I greet natin si Ma'am Leila De Lima. You know guys, I think it really meant a lot to see General Torre and Leila De Lima together because without a question, ito yung dalawa sa pinakamatapang at pinaka-trolled na personality sa Philippine politics, with obviously Senator Trillanes also there in the mix. So silang tatlo without a question are the most trolled and the most hated by the worst types of people. So in a way, badge of honor yan. And grabe yung bullying, yung attacks, disinformation, online harassment, etc. na ginagawa sa itong mga leaders o talagang mga symbols of courage, no? Hinahanap ko nga yung picture. Okay, mamaya ko nalagay. So, anyway, that's one issue because medyo nasa twilight zone tayo ngayon, guys, when it comes to the General Torres situation. As I said, kung wala naman siyang ginawang mali, bakit natin siyang sisibakin? And then at the same time, he's still a four-star general, so hindi siya pina-retire or hindi siya finire. At the same time, kung may ginawa siyang mali or as a basis na tanggalin siya, wala naman, I don't see any administrative case or anything like that. Now, assuming they'll try to remove General Torre forcibly or force him to resign by engaging in some sort of legal warfare or filing charges against him, ito yung mga tao sa loob na ayaw sa kanya or hindi sang-ayon sa ginawa niya or sa tingin nila he overreached his mandate, well, then we'll have another interesting situation kung saan General Torre will be out of the government, and not only out of the government, he will be kalaban? I mean, like, this is a crazy situation because as we stand, guys, dalawa yung opposition natin eh. Sa isang banda, ito yung mga DDS, ito yung mga beater, ito yung mga dating ito yung mga ex-Unity members na ang lakas mag-pro Marcos, ang lakas mag-Marcos is the best president ever, ang lakas mag-BBM, I love you, and the next thing you know, biglang anti-Marcos, biglang anti-corruption, anti-flood control, etc. So, sa isang banda, meron tayong itong mga hipokrito na to. Sa kabilang banda naman, ito, meron tayong mga pink or pinklawan or liberal progressive opposition. Basically, the non-DDS opposition na ayaw rin naman kay BBM or hindi sila aliado ni BBM. And interestingly, sila yung biggest supporters ni General Torre ngayon at sila yung lumalabas at nagsasabi, wait lang, parang mali. Because if you look at it, guys, tama yung sinabi ni Ka-Percy, di ba? Isa pa yan dun sa mga illegal harass ng mga henyo ng mga DDS abogado na mali-mali pa yung mga petition nila at mali-mali pa yung mga jurisprudence tuloy. Nag-sorry pa sila sa Supreme Court. Anyway, mamaya, balikan ko yung issue na yan. May napaya din doon. Anyway, going back to this, guys. Sabi nga ni Ka-Percy, wait lang. Lahat tayo nagfo-focus dito sa issue ng corruption sa flood control, sa DPWH. Pinapatanggal yung Department of Public Works and Highways. Bigla ang natanggal pa yung pinakasikat, pinaka-popular, pinaka-accomplished. You know, and PNP, like, guys, ito yung problema. This is the one that is on fire, and then biglang yung na-fire ay galing doon sa, ito pa yung stellar popular member. So, the whole optics is a mess because it's not very clear. So, kung walang ginawa, ba't niya tinanggal? Kung may ginawang mali, ba't walang charges? Diba? At kung titignan niyo doon sa non-press release, non-press conference, wala rin tayong nakukuhang masyado eh. So, ano ba talaga? Diba? And if this is just a case of misunderstanding and countermanding or power struggle or whatever, some are also wondering, okay, maybe suspension, maybe a slap on the wrist, but why i-relieve mo entirely from the PNP chief position? So we are really in this kind of peculiar situations, guys, kung saan nasa twilight zone tayo. At the same time, napaka-forthwith yung nangyari, napaka-bilis yung pagtanggal kay General Torre, which makes people wonder, like, what's going on here? Right? Now, tayo po ay medyo privy sa mga background discussions. I've been talking to different sides of this equation, all the wonderful people, amazing people. Ako lang, let me just say right off the bat, I don't think it's wise for General Torre to be completely alienated. Now, it's bad for the administration, but it could actually end up also bad for him, if not worse. It could be a lose-lose situation, right? We could end up in a lose-lose situation kung saan yung pinaka-matino, pinaka-popular member ng Marcos regime or administration is out, but it's not also going to be good for General Torre because the moment he's out of government, wala na siyang protection, right? From all sorts of shenanigans. I mean, as we speak, aside from dun sa isang frivolous na petition laban sa atin, again, may ethics, complaint pa laban kay Risa Hontiveros. So the moment na labas yan sa gobyerno, General Torre is going to be very vulnerable to all sorts of harassments and wars. Right? Dahil grabe, di ba? Pina-archive niya yung tatay ng mga di ba? Pinaano niya yung self-appointed di ba? So, ang dami niyang kalaban. And then if ever he's out of government, potentially kalaban din niya yung mga nasa poder ngayon. And that will be an impossible situation. So I think dun sa mga kaibigan natin who are saying, keep your dignity intact, bahala na sa buhay nila yung administration, just go your way. Well, my problem is, guys, General Torre has to be really cautious and careful about this because he could be very vulnerable to attacks from multiple sides if he's no longer in the government or he's pushed out or he's forced out or he basically says, I'm out, kalaban na tayo or something. I mean, because I cannot see a smooth way out of this unless General Torre, and this is really my recommendation, and I think this is, sabi ni Secretary Romualdez, for the national interest. Exactly. For the national interest, I think it's better that General Torre will move on and move up because that allows for the Philippine National Police to move ahead, move forward, and our best wishes to the new PNP chief to restore morale, to continue with the institutional reforms, and all sorts of good reforms na introduce ni General Torre, and to make sure na wala tayong standoff or institutional paralysis. Kapulisan po ang pinag-usapan natin dito. So, dahil sa national interest, I want the PNP to be in the best shape possible and to continue dun sa mga reforma para ma-restore yung kumpiyansa ng ating taong bayan sa ating kapulisan, and at the same time tuloy-tuloy yung mga human rights reforms and other important reforms. So I don't think a standoff situation whereby he's still a 4-star general, he's still the only 4-star, and then may interim PNP chief ka, tapos medyo may institutional potentially paralysis. I mean, guys, what else should I say? Hindi nga nag-attend dun sa turnover ceremony. So, something has to be done about this. But it has to be done in a way na hindi lose-lose situation. Because if things continue the way they are or fester, at basically magdigin on both sides, ay yari tayo dyan. Ang magbe-benefit dyan ay yung mga team kadiliman. Absolutely. Team kadiliman ang magbe-benefit dyan. So, going back to this, I believe the best way forward is for General Torre to move on and move up. And move on and move up in a sense that, well, first of all, he deserves the best. No matter what version of story you believe, whether he nag-overreach siya, whether he was just doing his job, whether he was making the right decisions, but maybe in the wrong way, or maybe he had the right vision na hindi tugma dun sa powers that be, whatever version you take, it is important for General Torre to move forward and move up because he deserves it. And when I say move up, what do I mean, guys? Even if DPWH secretary position would be available, I'm just not sure pasok na pasok sa kanya yan. Yes, he has an engineering background, but usually pag DPWH secretary, talagang dapat meron kang background in construction, civil engineering, etc. So, honestly, I'm not 100% sure dun sa idea ng, shoutout by the way dun sa Barangay Duterte, whatever. Yan, block na tuloy. Bastos Huwag kayong bastos, guys. This is my page. You mess around with me, you're blocked, alright? Behave yourself. Okay? Umayos kayo. Safe space tayo dito. Going back to this, I just don't think DPWH for him. DILG, yes, but it's not an open opposition. It's not an open position. And I don't think BBM wants to alienate the Romulias at this point in time when he's in the middle of it. I mean, guys, magre-real talk talaga tayo. Right? Magre-real talk talaga tayo. Magre-real talk tayo. So, on one hand, I just don't see those positions open or those positions really tugma sa kanya. Which really leaves you with this one interesting situation, which is, I think he could get a kind of a super czar secretary position whereby he's still in the government, he's still secure from harassment and wars. But, I have another caveat. Hindi pwede na normal secretary position din ang kunin niya. And that's why I think the DPWH is not also a very good idea. Is because, guys, dadaan yan sa Commission on Appointments. Committee on And speaking of Committee on Appointments, guys, alam natin maraming mga ka-DDS dyan sa legislatura, I mean, mga ka-DDS natin dyan sa Senado, na they're gonna really harass him. I mean, just look at how yung hearing na ginawa about the Duterte the archiving, basically, and look at how General Torre was really mistreated. Talagang binastos-bastos siya. So, if he's gonna be appointed, dadaan na naman siya sa prosesong yan. At dyan, babawi yung mga, sabi ng isang convicted na senador, di ba? Nakakadiri daw ang corruption. Yung mga ganun, yan ang mga babanggan niya, not to mention yung mga ka-DDS natin na senador na openly ka-DDS. So, guys, this is why I think the best situation here for General Torre is negotiate a strong mandate and the creation of a secretary position and I have already a model in mind. Kanina I was just double checking it also with our legal friends and experts. Yung kay Frederick Go, right? Yung economic czar. I don't think dumaan niya sa normal process. Also, the National Security Advisor, alam ko rin hindi rin dumadaan niya. So, diretso pwede na maano yan eh. So, baka that could be a model. Kind of like an NSA or economic czar. Dito, bibigyan siya ng isa pang czar situation. Now, this czar secretary level position means he'll have to directly report to the president para wala na siyang babanggain yung mga insecure sa kanya or yung mga hindi sangayon sa kanya or yung mga iba na napapreskoan sa kanya. No, he directly deals with the president. As Secretary Remulla said, the president is fond of him and for right reasons. So, basically, I think that's really the best situation forward. And then, negotiate a good mandate na tugma dun sa kanyang expertise, tugma sa kanyang, for the lack of a better term, branding, which is accountability, justice, law, and order, man. And also something na bibigyan siya ng oportunidad na lalong magpakita siya ng gilas. Maybe dati, doon sa mga ICC level criminals, doon sa mga FBI wanted. Ngayon naman, baka doon sa mga contractors or contractors or even more. Right? So, maybe yun. A kind of a special, almost secretary level powers na hindi na kailangan dumaan doon sa appointments committee para hindi siya maharas ng mga DDS senador, etc. or DDS congressman for that matter, whatever. And that allows him to continue this job. I mean, honestly, that's really my advice. Because anything outside that is either not optimal or actually is going to be a lose-lose situation for both sides. And a win-win situation for the team kadiliman slash kasamaan. Right? So, that's why very delicate itong situation na yan. Now, having said that, General Torre is a man with a strong sense of himself, his sense of mission. Absolutely has every right to set his sights 2028 on the Senate. If he stays within the admin, he's going to have no problem with financing, organization, and support come 2028. He's going to be backed by the administration, and almost 100% sure he's going to be a senator come 2020. And then from there, he can do whatever he wants. So, maybe with everything happening now, baka to talk about him as a VP material, presidential material, is not as seemingly viable as before. But at the very least, if he plays his cards well, sa mga darating na araw, really, at then he'll be in a very good position from 2020 onwards to be his own man. Kasi the moment na maging senador siya or he'll be elected to a top position, he'll be his own man. Diba? Or at least, that's the idea. Although hindi ko alam dun sa mga DDS senador at saka yung mga ibang factotum dyan. But do you get what I'm saying? So, that's why this is a tricky situation, but there has to be an off-ramp here. And as much as I understand General Torre, if he gets to see this, as much as General Torre, nasaktan siya, nainis siya, galit siya, I know, but remember, may mga hyenas, they're vultures already hovering around. And at the same time, medyo matagal pang 2028. And also, the number one rules in strategy is you never open two fronts at the same time. Especially kung mainit na, meron ka ng active war with one side, you don't open a new front. That's just the number one rule in any geostrategy and I would say personal political strategy. You have to always make sure and avoid a two-front war. Now, kung ikaw ay Superman, siguro kaya mo yan. But as much as possible, I really suggest against being squeezed in between two, hard place in the rock. But anyway, so yun ang take ko sa General Torre situation rather. And my sense is if hindi mangyari yung sinasabi ko, lose-lose yan, the more nalalakas ang mga Duterte, to be honest. And it's gonna be an ugly situation. BBM is gonna lose his most popular man. That most popular man may end up as an opposition, obviously non-DDS opposition. And then the DDS is gonna eat everyone for lunch, right? Because nag-aaway-aaway lahat. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be ugly, right? At the same time, para sa national interest natin, since mukhang hindi na reversible ito, I think it's important for the PNP chief, a former PNP chief, to move on and move up so that to allow for the PNP to reconstitute itself, move forward. Because ako, at the end of the day, for me, what's important is the national interest. Hindi katulad ng mga membro ng mga kulto, hindi katulad ng mga basically mga tabad, hindi katulad ng mga blind partisan at yung mga toxic people. Tayo po, at the end of the day, it's about national interest, it's about justice and accountability. But yeah, indeed, it's also about what's best for the best people. Ganon kasimple lang yan. What is best for the best people? And sa akin palagay, this is really the best situation I can think about. Again, hindi ko inisip yan out of scratch. No, honestly, I've been talking to everyone from all different sides, and I'm trying to push everyone to move in the right direction. Because what I'm saying here is that let's not let petty fights, personal issues, ego, whatever you want to call it. I don't want those things to make us miss the forest for the trees. Or kumbaga, sana hindi masunog yung buong gubat dahil nag-aaway lang tayo dun sa isang or dalawang di ba? branches of the tree, if not at most a tree or two, right? It's ridiculous, right? So yes, nakikita ko yung mga puno, pero nakikita ko rin gubat eh. So ayaw natin masunog yung buong gubat dahil lang may mga away-away tayo dito sa mga puno na yan, di ba? Or even yung mga branches ng puno na yan. So, yan ang yan ang perspective ko, guys eh. So, dun sa mga kaibigan natin na medyo hindi nakikita yung gubat, sana nakinig kayo. Sana you see all of these angles I'm looking at. Because this is what political analysis is. When you do political analysis, and no offense dun sa isang senador na obviously hindi ganong kataas ang kanyang intellectual horizons or ganong kalawak yung kanyang intellectual horizons. Okay, sige na, wag na lang vertical, horizontal. Hindi ang trabaho po ng isang totoong public intellectual and thinker is to look at things objectively as they are and then at the same time look at the broader horizons and what should happen. At yun po yung ginagawa natin dito. Now, you agree with me? Good. You do not agree with me? Make sure ayusin mo yan. Make sure you have a good counter-argument. Otherwise, baka kailangan mo mag-level up. Baka medyo kulang. Oo, sorry kasi nakikinig ang halos lahat ng mga alam mo naman, hindi man natin kailangan magyabang, di ba? Alam niyo na, di ba? So maybe there's a reason why, di ba? So umayos-ayos kayo dyan. At doon naman sa mga kulto, membro ng kulto, nagbubulag-bulagan, at medyo kuha mo, tabad, di ko na problema yan. Pasensya na. I'm really doing my best here for public education purposes. Gusto niyo maniwala sa team kasamaan, kadiliman, problema niyan. Magkita-kita na lang kayo sa impyerno. In the meantime, I have to do what I have to do. Now, let me go to the second part of my discussion because I think this is even more important. Remember, we're talking about the forest. So let's not lose the forest for the trees. Let's go back again to the forest. There's even a bigger forest. Kumbaga kung may gubat tayo dito sa ito, tapos may national park pa tayo, di ba? Again, big picture. Kaya favorite ko is Foundation series Kasi pag nagbasa ka ng Asimov and Foundation series, ultimately this is about protecting the realm, right? Human civilization. Para sa akin, this is protecting the Philippine national interest and our democratic constitutional order. Now, tignan natin ang mas malawak na picture. And dito naman papasok si Vico Soto. I think Vico is really onto something. Absolutely. And the reason why sobrang natutuwa ako na Vico is stepping up to the plate, pansin ko nga medyo hindi na lang, medyo nagiging balahura na rin in a good way I mean it in a good way. Ilabas ko nga yung, kasi natakot ako ma-press ako dyan kung ang tagal lang ko na set up to para magamit natin 4K camera na maayos. I like this version of Vico even better than the earlier version. I think the earlier version of Vico was great in terms of setting, as Sir Ronald Leons would put it, laying out the predicate. But I think now it's time to push it, go for G. Etong go for G version ni Vico is very good. At nakita natin yan over the past 2-3 years. Remember when Vico, pinuntahan pa niya yung mga walang hiyang mga hakot na ralista. Hindi ko alam kung mga, alam mo na, yung isang kontraktor na pamilya kumuha na, hindi ko alam. But I won't be surprised. Nakita ko over the past 2-3 years, especially nagsimula siya ng mga proyekto niya. Infrastructure projects, social welfare, socialized housing, yung City Hall project, doon talaga nakita mo grabe, inatak-atak siya right and left ng disinformation. At hindi lang yung mga usual Eusebio yung kalaban niya, kung sino-sinong kalaban niya, including yung mga, alam mo na, yung mga napaka-inspirational na mga contractor. Sabi nga nung isa, di ba? Hindi niya kailangang mag-engineer. Masyado daw bookish ang engineer. At they have conversations in British accent. But naging Donald Trump yung British Parang Donald Trump, conversation. Yeah, medyo. Inis na inis si Vico dahil grabe, ginagawa siya ng grabing fake news, di ba? Tapos, kapal pa ng mukha ng mga ibang contractors na nakita ko yung videos, last year pa, no? Na itong mga ibang contractors, they were, kung ano-anong pinaggagawa nila dyan para may ano sila, may hanap buhay sila. Yung pala wala silang permit. Walang hiya. Hindi sila co-coordinate sa Office of Mayor. Complete defiance. Talagang bastusan. At yung si Vico will go there. So, makikita mo talaga, grabe yung si Vico ay talagang grabe yung attack sa kanya. Hindi ko magamit yung term na bugbog sarado because obviously hindi siya mukhang bugbog sarado. But talagang under attack siya. So, nag-step up siya. This version of Vico na nag-step up, I like it more. Na nagka-call out ng mga allegedly bayaran, nagka-call out ng mga contractors. Gusto ko yan. At itong version na, di ba? It's basically ito, di ba?
Kailangan hindi siya nakakadiri yung korupsyon. Kailangan hindi siya maging katanggap-tanggap. I think unfortunately through the years, that's really what's happened. It's become accepted. Naging katanggap-tanggap siya sa atin lahat. And I think all of us are guilty here. I think and I think that's the first step. If we want to fix this, kailangan aminin natin na at some level, all of us are guilty here. Hindi ibig sabihin may natanggap tayo. Pero ibig sabihin at some point, hinayaan natin na pumayag tayo na naging perception natin or thinking natin na hindi, ganyan talaga. Pag politiko, talagang yayaman yan. Pagka mayroon na talagang yayaman yan. Ganun talaga. Parang naging accepted siya kahit magtanong tayo sa ordinaryong tao, mag-random survey ka, tanungin mo siguro, ang politiko ba yung mayaman? karamihan sasabihin, oo, naging accepted. And I think that's the first step. We have to challenge that thinking. Nakakadiri yung corruption. Kailangan hindi.
Yun yung first step. I absolutely agree with it. At actually, nung pinapanood ko yan, naalala ko like, you know, isa sa pinaka-frustrating sa politika, especially sa ating bansa. But, you know, I know things are not also good in other countries. Marami tayong kaibigan who are activists in US, in India, in France, in Italy, Brazil, whatever. I'm not idealizing other countries, pero isa sa mga pinakamahirap na bagay sa ating bansa is unang-una, napaka-showbiz yung bansa natin. To be honest, the smart shaming culture, the lack of appreciation for public thinkers, intellectuals, and the super low level of political literacy and all, and super low appreciation of critical thinking. I mean, it's really, really frustrating, especially if you're someone who's trying to do things at the world-class level and who has been operating at the world-class level. Again, sabihin naman mayabang ka. Guys, merit tayo dito. Merit-based tayo, okay? Okay, kung may K ka, may K ka. Ganun kasimple lang yan. But anyway, like parang, ngayon, how should I put it? Like, ngayon, if you go online, you see all of these memes and you all of these quotes from celebrities, etc., who are saying the right things. And absolutely tama si Tito Vico Soto na you have to call this out. Absolutely correct. You have to call it out. But, yun nga, yung unang problem ngayon dito is, okay, you call it out and then what? Diba? So, the first step. So, ibig sabihin, Vico gets what I'm saying, and I think we have almost exactly the same take on this. He knows public administration. He's in praxis of this, so he's way ahead of almost everyone. But what I want to say is, first of all, what is this showbiz culture na kailangan ba sabihin ng isang artista or isang showbiz host isang bagay ukol sa ating pangalawa, like, yes, corruption is evil. It is evil. And talagang masunog sa impyerno lahat ng mga walang yung mga kurakot na to. Tama lang. And yes, every time nakikita mo, gets ko yan. But, guys, hindi pwede hanggang moral posturing lang tayo at personalan and all. Alam natin, systematic tong problema na to. And katulad ng pinag-usapan namin kahapon at in-upload natin dun sa video natin with si Apa Ongpin, Executive Director ng Makati Business Club the other day. Sabi ko nga, election pa lang nagsisimula ng corruption eh. Kasi yung pera na gagastusin ng mga politiko na grabe libong binabayaran sa bawat voter, talaga magkakaroon ng ROI culture yan eh. And kumbaga, yun yung talagang yung sinasabi ni Rizal na no limit tangere talaga, na talagang ito yung ugat ng problema, nanganganak ng problema, parang virus, nag-mutate to eh. Contractor, yung engineer. Kasi nga ang gastos ng election eh. Kasi wala tayong campaign financing reforms, wala tayong real political parties, wala tayong anti-defection laws, hawak ng mga dynasties halos sa mga lahat ng mga yung mga local positions. So basically you're asking for trouble. So yung sinasabi ni Vico na culture of corruption, well, this culture of corruption is embedded in our imperfect 19th century American style democracy. Kaya pag nagbasa ka talaga ng political analysis, proper political analysis, Benedict Anderson, Kasika Democracy, John Seidel's book on bossism, kita mo talaga yung ugat ng problema niya is yung election spending, grabe, napaka-corrupt yung election period pa lang, yung vote buying. At dahil wala tayong real political parties, umaasa mga politiko, hindi sa parties, pero umaasa sa mga contractors, umaasa sa donors, at umaasa sa corruption, basically, di ba? I mean, so basically it's a vicious cycle. There's another thing I want to say also about this is that, and kaya nga maganda yung discussion kahapon with Apa Ongpin is that ang dami nagmamagaling ngayon at biglang nandidiri sa corruption. Anong pinagsasabi nyo when hindi lang yung iba convicted, but yung iba parang ang tahimik nyo dati ah. Ngayon ang daming mga henyo nagsabi, oh Richard, sinasabi mo Duterte era. Like, well, there is 11,000 flood control projects finished during the 5th year of Duterte and allegedly more than 12,000. Now, whether it's 40%, 60% of the entire budget of past decade, that doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, it's huge amount. Yung iba dyan na sobrang tahimik nung time ni Digong, na walang sinabi nung time dahil takot sila, dahil trapo sila, dahil compromise sila, tapos ngayon magmamaganda kayo. And you know what also, the other thing that really annoys me is also this culture na kailangan ba natin hintayin yung mga charismatic people or showbiz people to call this out before we see things for what they are. I mean, alam naman na talaga natin na may mali talaga sa sistema eh. Alam naman talaga natin na matagal na natin alam yan eh. Tayo nga eh, yung PDAF time ni Napoles, doon pa lang talaga nararadicalize na tayo politically kasi nakita natin, grabe. Tapos lumala pa. So, so for me, it's not like hindi natin alam na may ganitong problema. And yung iba nagmamagaling, nasaan naman kayo nung panahon ni Digong or panahon ng yung iba naman nagsasalita as if perfect naman yung mga nauna kay Digong. Hindi naman din sila perfect. Kaya yung isang araw, kaya nga inano namin si Sir Ronald. Ikaw nga. Anyway, hindi ko sinasabi lahat kasing level yung corrupt or whatever. But I'm just saying, huwag naman tayo maglokohan dito. Alam naman natin talaga matagal itong ugat ng mga problema natin sa infrastruktura, sa corruption, etc. So bakit minsan parang kailangan pa natin hintayin ng quote galing sa ganitong tao or ganitong tao, or kailangan pa natin makita yung mga online lifestyle check na alam na natin yan, guys, alam na natin yan, which tells me we should have been way past the point of just calling this out. At naalala ko nung panahon ni Digong na daming mga walang yang mga duwag dyan. Because they were scared to call things out, they were attacking people like us who were calling it to call things out, who had the courage to call this out, or attacking, I don't know, Dino De Leon or others who were trying to push for SAL-N or other kinds of transparency. So, excuse me talaga, di ba? But this raises even a bigger question, right? Let's talk about the forest. Guys, I'll tell you what. Medyo matagal na natin inisip ng issue na ito eh. At matagal ko nang pinag-usapan itong issue ng charter change. At talaga kanina sabi ko, ang dami ko nakakausap over the past weeks eh. Sabi ko, napansin ko, yung mga tao na dati ayaw sa charter change dahil takot na takot sila na gagamitin ng Duterte administration yan para basically establish ng, I don't know, dictatorship, revolutionary government, or even more trapo system. I see more and more people saying, kailangan na natin ng charter change. Because, guys, if you look at it, parang lumalala, di ba? Parang nagiging yung Senate natin keeps on getting worse. More and more circus and clown shows. So, no offense. Wait lang, baka may ingat na lang ako. Alam mo na, alright? Fill in the gap. Okay. And, so makes you wonder, guys, with all due respect dun sa framers ng ating 1997 Constitution, I'm sorry, but I think the experiment kind of failed. I think there are too many problems in the Constitution. Wala siyang automatic na mga laws against dynasties. Ngayon, umaasa tayo na mga dynasties sa loob ng Kongreso, papasa sila ng batas laban sa sarili nila. Nanganak ba tayo kahapon? Sino bang niloloko natin, guys? Sino bang niloloko natin dito? So, alam naman natin, hindi uubra yan. The system has been hijacked, guys. Hinijack nung una ng mga walang yung mga trapos at mga oligarchs. Ngayon, nadagdagan pa. May mga bagong mga salot na pumasok sa usapan. Itong mga fake news vloggers, itong mga contractors. It's just getting worse, guys. It just keeps on getting worse. So this reminds me of our conversation last year, yung year-ender natin with Sir Ronald Llamas and Justice Carpio, dito ukol sa issue ng constitutional crisis na mga. But guys, kaya sabi ko, bago natin hintayin na magkaroon ng coup d'etat or worse, baka naman panahon na napag-usapan talaga natin itong charter change na to eh. Kasi alam naman natin saan papunta ito eh. Lumalala lang to eh. At the rate things are going, things will get even worse at 2028 unless some big surprise happens. All the big surprise now are so far not good. Like, what? Purong ganun. I think we have to talk about charter change, guys. Ako, of course, my standard argument stand. First of all, sigurado may charter change is not. So, for instance, this is why, guys, dapat pag-aralan nyo na mabuti at pag-usapan natin siguro ng masinsinan sa mga susunod na episodes, Constitutional Assembly versus Constitutional Convention, right? CONAS, CONCON. Yung isa, basically yung mga kasalukuyan ng mga congressman, senador ang magdedesisyon anong mangyayari doon sa bagong saligang batas bago ito pupunta sa referendum plebiscite. Yung sa pangalawa, magkakaroon ng convention kung saan mga ordinaryong tao na pwede tumakbo bilang miyembro ng convention na yan, tapos i-draft natin and then pa-plebiscite natin. So one will be a Trapo drafted a new constitution, one will be a people drafted people constitution. But we know it's gonna be more complicated than that because what if yung mga ibang trapo na wala dito ay biglang tatakbo sa Constitutional Convention or parang yung mga ano, 'di ba, mga contractor, 'di ba? Baka naman pwede rin ma-hijack 'yon. So, absolutely guys, there's the law of unintended consequences and there are many things that could go wrong. I 100% agree. I stand by everything I've said against constitutional change in the past. And oh my goodness, federalism, lalalang situation, lalong yung mga warlords, mga trapos will be their own little Imperial Manilas. Galit na galit kayo sa Imperial Manila, good luck. Hintayin yung Imperial o XYZ, alam nyo na, fill in the blanks. So, but having said that guys, I'm not also very convinced that the status quo is reformable. Medyo nakawala na ako ng ano like, parang lumalala eh. Give me an evidence that actually gumagandang sitwasyon. In what sense is the Philippines better than Pinoy's time now in terms of quality of governance and all? With all due respect. Yes, BBM is light years ahead of Digong, but that's a very low base kasi nga na-archive na nga sa ICC yung isa. But what I'm saying, like, to be honest, the fact na lumala pa yung situation ng ganitong like yung Napoles level of corruption ay ngayon ay mild comparatively, that's how bad things are, that tells you guys medyo may problema talaga tayo. Tapos tignan mo, sa ating sistema pwede ka maging presidente, 20% of the votes, 30% of the votes, tribalistic vote, whatever, solid this vote, solid, and then andun ka sa power, biglang everyone will defect to you. Yung PDP laban, 3 lang membro na, tapos nalas hindi ko naging 300 yung member. Yung Liberal Party, let's say 50 member niya, I mean, it's a joke. It's not serious. It's a joke. It's a joke. I mean, we're making a mockery out of our democracy or democratic potentials. Mockery out of yung mga sacrifice ni Ninoy Aquino. And then, ito pa. Look at how hopeless our situation is. Saan tayo naghahanap ng pag-asa? Doon sa mga anak ng mga dating leader ng opposition. Like, ano ba to? Wala na ba tayong mahanap na iba? Sa 120 million Filipinos, same families na naman hanapin natin ng solusyon sa problema ng same families na nagbibigay ng problema sa atin? Anong klaseng henyo yan? For heaven's sake, I'm sick and tired of this kind of super like backward mindset na parating umaasa lang tayo sa isang pamilya, dalawang pamilya to solve us from the other isang dalawang pamilya na nandun sa poder. What kind of thing? Anong klaseng demokrasya? This is a joke. Guys, this is a joke. No joke, no joking. Ako, this is a joke. So, ako, simulan na natin, pag-usapan natin ng charter change. Before this may admin, after this admin, next year, this year. Honestly, guys, I think we have to seriously admit it. And no offense dun sa mga framers na ating constitution natin. I know you tried your best, but it's not good enough. I'm sorry. It's really not good enough. It's not good enough. Sobrang hijack yung system na to. Ang daming guardrails na wala. Ang daming loopholes. Ang daming mga kulang. Ang daming mga nilagay na hindi naman tugma sa mga ating pangangailangan sa 21st century. I'm sorry guys. And please lang, pinag-aralan ko lahat ng sistema na yan. Hindi na tayo magyabang na ilan mga journal articles or libro na sulat na. That's not the point. My point is, I've looked at this from all different angles. We have done thousands of episodes with the best political analysts in the country and beyond. I'm really arriving at this conclusion na I don't think the status quo is gonna work. I really, honestly, parang suntok sa buwan na lang yung inisip natin. Baka sa 22 may magaling tayong presidente. Sabi ko nga, honestly, kahit si Lenny ang presidente natin or Risa, whatever, pero yung Kongreso mo, yung Senado mo, yung LGU mo, good luck na lang sa atin, di ba? Kaya sabi ko nga, in an event na hindi tayo magkakaroon ng fundamental constitutional reforms, the best we can hope for is to create our own version of progressive movement in the US kung saan parang bibingka strategy. Push natin yung mga good leaders to become our next president, to be in positions of power between now and 2028 and beyond. And at the same time, sisiguraduhin natin bibingka, di ba? From below, there's also pressure. Para yung mga next Congress in 2028, next whatever in 2020, yung mga LGUs, whatever, pwede natin i-pressure. Pero parang minsan, inisip ko parang suntok sa buwan din yun, di ba? Parang, do we have time? And even if we had time, or we still have time, sino naman ang leader of opposition? Who's making moves? I mean, it's great to have, cover magazine stories here. It's great to have meetings here and there. Pero in terms of groundwork, in terms of mobilization, what are we really doing here? Right? So, I don't know. I think it's really time for us to seriously discuss charter change. And I think in principle, I'm open to it. tinignan ko lahat ng angulo, guys, lumalala lang yung situation sa ating bansa. This whole ping-pong over Sara impeachment just tells you wala na, broken system na tayo, guys. Now, how are we gonna fix it? We can have a good debate about it. But honestly, I think it's hard to argue that it's not a broken political system. Is it the worst political system in the world? Of course not. Things are way worse in Thailand, in Indonesia, even I would say. Yes, in Malaysia is a mess. Yeah, we can go on and on. US, whatever, no comment. But, guys, I just don't see how this is gonna get better. Honestly, I just see this thing getting worse. And yung mga nagsasabi na Richard purist ka, masyadong idealist, get out of here, guys. Unlike most other people out there, actually, kinakausap natin lahat ng mga leaders. I've talked to all top people from all branches of the state here, before, abroad, whatever. These are based on the texture of reality, right? These are based on conversation with people who are in the know-how. People who actually watch us to understand what's happening to them, what's going to happen to them. So bago mo ako sabihin na si Richard, bookish lang yan or whatever, get out of here, man. Yung mga politiko mismo, yung mga leader, pupunta sa atin to figure out what's going on. Nanonood sila sa atin because mas nagigets nila yung sitwasyon nila dahil tayo, tinitignan natin yung forest, hindi yung trees lang. Or yung ano lang, yung branch lang, or yung isang ano lang, low-hanging fruit lang. And to be brutally honest about it, I think I'm beginning to lose faith in the current in the current setup. I believe in constitutional democracy. I am for constitutional democracy. But I think charter change should be part of the conversation very, very seriously. And then let's talk about the devil of the details. To take out the devil so that the details are right. Because kahit tama si Vico, we should call it out, dapat nakakadiri ganun. Pero guys, ang tagal na natin, alam na natin na ganyan na, ang tagal na tong problema na to eh. Ilan pang mga corruption scandal bang hihintayin natin bago tayo give up sa, di ba? We're waiting for even a worse president? Is that what we're waiting for? We're waiting for even, sabi nga nung isa eh, bakit flood control lang pinag-usapan? Pag-usapan natin, kalsada. I'm sure marami tayong mahanap ng mga ibang kababalakan. Of course, yung flood control pinakamadali kasi alam na natin, di ba? Kasi nga sa ilalim. Pero guys, malala na to, guys. So, that's why, ang sinasabi ko ngayon, guys, is basically, I think it's time to, it's time to think big, and to go for bigger and better things, even if it's risky. Now, having said that, we're lucky that there are many good people out there who could be part of this process of charter change and reform, and to make sure na walang kalokohan na mangyari. Vico Sotto, 100% given na yan. Vico Sotto is 100% given. Pero, hindi naman siya nag-iisa. Ang dami pang iba. Kaya nga ako naisip, parang umaasa lang tayo kay Vico Sotto. Ang dami mga magaling sa ating bansa. Bakit umaasa lang tayo sa mga Aquinos? Ang dami pa naman ibang magaling. Bakit tayo umaasa dun sa mga nagtrabaho sa itong admin or isang admin na ngayon lang biglang, ang daming magaling. We have to work together. We have to put it all together. Alright? Ang daming magaling. And then nasabi ko tingnan mo yung pamilya ni Ma'am Lenny. Public servants. Simple, purong scholar ng bayan, scholar ng Harvard, scholar ng and a standard, a gold standard. Jesse Robredo gold standard, which by the way inspired Vico Sotto. But there's so many other people there, and Vico will not be eligible to run for vice president or president, which makes you realize may mali din yung constitution natin. Bakit kailangan 40 years old ka bago ka maging presidente? Sinong henyo nag-isip yan? Sinong henyo nag-isip na dapat 40 years old ka lang para maging mature enough ka para maging presidente? Anong klaseng utak nag-isip yan? Anong basis yan? Anong longitudinal study yung ginawa nyo? Hello? France nga, 37, ka-age ko lang, naging presidente si Macron eh. Macron became the president of France at my age. He ran for the president of France younger than me. France is what? One of the oldest and most established democracies in the world. Is it perfect? Of course not. But I can go on and on with prime ministers around the world, 20 plus, 30 plus. Sinong henyo nag-isip na dapat 40 years old ka bago maging presidente or vice-presidente? Si Sara, 40 plus, mas matalino, magaling ba siya kay Vico? Mas mature ba siya kay Vico? Yung ngayon, 60 plus, mas magaling ba siya kay... Tapos, Ako, honestly, kaysa yung minimum, dapat maximum, dapat may ceiling. Actually, tama yung mga komunista eh. Dapat 65 lang, 70 above, dapat di na pwede, masyadong matanda. Tingnan mo naman yung nangyari sa'yo na napaka... No offense. Ako, mas maganda na hindi thunders kaysa yung hindi bata. Dapat bata yung presidente natin. Dapat 30 pwede na or 35 at most. Sino henyo nag-isip ng 40? Saan nila kinuha yung idea na yan? Kaya nga sabi ko may problema tong constitution natin eh. Isa pa, sinong henyo nag-isip na dapat 6 years single term lang? Bakit hindi 2 4-year term? Bakit hindi 1 6-year term like Indonesia? Or sorry, 2 5-year term like Indonesia. So Indonesia, 5 years, 5 years. So kung good president ka, pwede ka ma-elect. Sinong henyo nag-isip na okay lang na pwede ka maging presidente na minority ka lang? Na first past the post, single round. Sinong henyong nag-isip yan? Dapat nga pwede ka maging presidente kung majority ka lang. Ibig sabihin, may run-off dapat. Talagang may problema talaga tong sistema natin, guys eh. Walang age limit at the top pero may age limit as below. Tapos bakit 40? Why not 35? Why not 30? Pwede ka naman maging senator in your 30s. Naging senator nga si Camille, di ba? Bakit isang 6-year term lang? It's too long for a bad president. It's too short for a good president. Yung mga rules on impeachment, 4th, 5th pa lang, hindi pa na-clarify. Nasaan pa tayo pumunta? I'm sorry guys, no offense, but I think it's time to call it. So if Vico was saying, let's call it out corruption, I'll call it out. Our constitutional system as it stands, I just don't see it getting better. I'm sorry. Something has to be done about it. Charter change. Something like that. Because God forbid, if we don't do something about this, nako, papunta tayo sa mga exciting part. Either we're gonna elect the next dictator, way worse than what we got under Digong and Marcos Sr., or this thing is gonna just fall apart and talagang mapag-iwanan na tayo and all. So, in the meantime, support the good guys like Vico. Push for General Torre to make the right decision because I want him to be safe. I want him to be sound. I want him to serve the country in the best way he can. In the meantime, magbibingka strategy tayo. Push for the good leaders. We build a movement. And in the meantime, pag-usapan talaga natin charter change, guys. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. I've seen enough. It's not working. I'm sorry. Dun sa mga framers ng Constitution na they keep on insisting everything is perfect and fine, it's not. Speaking of that, tomorrow, kausapin natin isa sa mga framers ng Constitution. We'll have him live here, a former Justice of the Supreme Court and one of the framers of the Constitution. Pag-usapan natin yan. So see, look at me guys. I talk to everyone including to the framers of the 19... Let's pag-usapan natin. So tomorrow, kausapin natin framers Constitution. Tomorrow, kausapin din natin yung ating illegal luminary, si Sir Ronald Llamas. On that note, thank you very much guys. Maraming salamat. I hope yung video natin is okay lang kasi in-effort ko talaga yan para ma-set up yung 4K na ganito, yung lighting and all. Hindi naman tayo thunders, pero guys, medyo nakaka-tech stress. And to be honest, medyo nilagnat tayo ng konti. And by the way, kanina lang guys, just to tell you, we were launching also a new radio show with sila Dino De Leon, Clive Arguella, speaking of working together, hindi Robin Hood, Robin Garcia. So we have a lot of si Carlo, great group. So kung may 4 alas sila, Sir Ronald, etong pangtapat natin dun sa mga thunders natin nakalawan. Joking aside. But anyway, so medyo low bat din tayo, saka mahaba yung araw natin. We have been doing a lot. But tomorrow guys, God willing, we're gonna talk to one of the framers of the Constitution. And yes, I'll raise these issues, but of course, with a spirit of respect and all. But I just had to be very honest about my stance on this. All right? On that note, thank you very much. Pag-usapan natin charter change and ating saligang batas soon. And tuloy-tuloy lang laban. And our prayers and love for our country. My prayers for the PNP to make a smooth transition. My prayers for General Torre to get what he truly deserves in the best way possible. And also my shout out to Senator De Lima, Congressman De Lima. Happy birthday, ma'am. Thank you so much for being really a symbol of courage. Sobrang nakaka-inspire. By the way, speaking of nakaka-inspire, tingnan mo naman yung picture. Dito makita magaling talaga si General Torre. He knows his strengths. And I think for him to spend time kahapon with Ma'am Laila De Lima was really quite something. I was happy to see them together. Kaso parang napansin ng tao yung red ribbon. Yun. Ito mga Lodi. Grabe, Lodi. That looks like a nice tandem, by the way. I'm just saying, let's not keep on looking for the same people in Formula. Why not, I don't know, De Lima, Torre, whatever, right? Both of them sideline, martyred, etc. But both of them Phoenix. Walang Icarus yan. Both of them, there was a time everyone thought, tapos na si Ma'am Layla De Lima, wala na yan, kulong na yan forever. Yun pala, nag-Mandela effect pala siya within a shorter span pa nga. But 7 years is too long. And tama dun sa isang follower natin. You know, one of the things that has become worse over the past 10 years? EJ case. Grabe yung EJ nung panon niya. Kaya na-archive sa ICC yung isa. Do you want more of that later on? God forbid. Of course not. Do you want more of that craziness? No. I'll add even more. Ano yung mas lumala sa kumpara sa panon ng mga dilawan? Yung pro-China na mga walang yan, ano pa nga tayo sa dyan. Oh, alam niyo na, di ba? Tapos ngayon, nalalaman pa natin, naging yung isang Chinese, naging rear admiral pa sa PCG, no, paano ni Digong? Alang eh. Yung Alice ko, naging mayor pa. Malay natin, dami palang mga ganun eh. So, this is what I'm saying, guys. Yeah, why not? Let's talk about Torre de Lima. Why not? Team Phoenix, let's call them. Just as good as Phoenix ba yung yung sa bus? Okay, whatever. Hindi ito Icarus. It's only Icarus if we give up. But this could be a story of Phoenix. But we have to support the right people. But at the same time, guys, let's call it out. May mali talaga sa ating sistema. And normal, moralistic posturing, hindi mag-work yan. I'm sorry, it's just not gonna work. New cycle, iba na naman, move on na naman lahat, tanggap na naman, fatalistic na tayo. Enough of that. Enough is enough. On that note, thank you very much for joining this latest episode ng Deep Dive, the most amazing podcast. Amazing na lang sabihin ko kasi number 1 na si Models of Manila. And I suggest check out yung interview ni Mark Gamboa with Vico Soto. At of course yung kabilang channel. Baka naman. So, most amazing na lang tayo. Huwag na natin sabihin number 1 para wala nang away. On that note, thank you very much. God bless and talk to you soon. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat.